So a few months ago, I was at the Tuesday meeting of Downtown Streets team, soaking up the success stories of our unsheltered neighbors, making progress in their lives, and listening to members share the love with their fellow team members to really, really make a difference, right? I mean, these revivals without religion, as Joan from Dolby calls them, are a source of inspiration and strength for me. A reminder locally of how much I have and how much a hand up rather than a handout can do. On the cover of today's show is little me and my big bro, Tom. I was at Downtown Streets team at this meeting where I heard two members from an organization called Miracle Messages speak up. They presented, and this group has a very simple and powerful mission: help your neighbors experiencing homelessness reunite with their families and friends. Kevin Adler and Nancy Earhart from Miracle Messages were guests and shared some powerful stories of impact. You can check it out if you like. I was paying special attention to Miracle Messages for a very personal reason. I hadn't seen my older brother Tom for 18 years. That's a long time. And it was for a variety of reasons and confounding factors that he removed himself from our entire family, both nuclear and extended. And I had no idea where he was, although earlier searches had pointed to areas around the Bay Area. So this is like, he was handsome and smart and athletic, and Tom was as all-American as it gets, really. Three-sport athlete in high school, charming. He also took classes at UC Berkeley while he was still in high school. I mean, he's just a really freaking smart guy. And there's a saying, kind of tongue-in-cheek, I've heard: women wanted to be with him and men wanted to be him. And I don't know how true that is for others, but I know I certainly did want to be him. I was 8 years his junior, as you can tell from that picture. You know, he's a lot older. And I remember in grade school, I would spend my summers just watching him play basketball and getting to hang out with him and his friends and just trying to impress him in some minor way. So his life took a major turn when he was in a bad car accident his junior year in high school, and competitive sports was now out, and he took to working after school. He graduated on time, which was great. He went to college and then he dropped out. You know, he was used to the money and he put his energy into work instead of his education. But more importantly, I think, is that he'd gone from exceptional, right? Exceptional to merely special. Right? He's a very special guy with a lot of gifts. But he was used to the spotlight, and it frustrated him that the ease of his former life was gone. He went through a series of jobs that he was great at and really made a difference. But he left each one because he wasn't moving up fast enough, and he wasn't receiving the recognition that he thought he'd earned. You know, along the way, I mean, all his life, but you know, after the accident, also he had arguments with family and friends, and he's quick-witted and quick-tempered, and major blowouts they weren't uncommon. And he, you know, he's somebody who's armed with a sense of righteousness as well as a black belt in kung fu, and he could be a particularly fearsome opponent, whether it was physical or mental. Right? The guy. He was something else. And he was even worse when he was feeling frustrated and lashing out. You know, but even as a child, I could see that his anger really masked the goodness that he had in his heart. He was generous and funny, and he always wanted to help. You know, I think that was really one of the things that was overlooked oftentimes, is that he was always there for people, and it was great. In fact, I think that in looking back, I can see that his frustration with many jobs and people was that he did go above and beyond, but he felt disrespected when his expectations, whether or not he expressed them, when those expectations went unfulfilled. And, you know, all of us want to know that our lives have meaning and that our work has value. And I think all of us know how frustrating it feels when our needs go unfulfilled and we don't have the language or the guidance to know how to ask for what we want. I mean, I know I do, and that's on many occasions, both social and professional. So Tom was struggling those years when I was in high school, and then when I went on to college, and I could see that he was struggling emotionally as well as financially. You know, he was looking for his new identity, you know, a sense of self and purpose, struggling to move on to a new chapter in his life. When our father died, he had the hardest time of all of us. You know, he and our father had a really special relationship. You know, Tom was the first son after two daughters, and our dad finally had a boy to take fishing and camping and horse around with in a way that he couldn't with my sisters, at least not at that time. Remember, this is 50 years ago. It's, there's a big difference now, and being mindful of the context, it was super, super duper special. In fact, they spent so much time together. I have these great pictures, and when I see them, even when I was little, I was wondering why Dad and I didn't do some of those same things. And I wasn't jealous of Tom. I was just a little sad at that time, you know. So anyway, Tom got more and more distant after Dad died, and he moved from occasional visits to occasional calls until one Christmas was the last time we heard from him. And it had been years and years until earlier in 2018 when Nancy Earhart from Miracle Messages got involved. She helped me. She heard my story. She asked for what I knew, and she got on the case, as it were. And she connected with Tom and left him a couple of messages. And honestly, I waited with pretty high hopes, and nothing. And so after a few months of not hearing from him, I asked Nancy to contact Tom again. Nothing. So I decided that I'd waited long enough, and I called him. And if you've ever seen that TV show, Name That Tune, where contestants bid down, right, the number of notes they need in order to, name that tune. It was amazing, really amazing. One word, right? One word was all I needed to know. It was Tom when he picked up that phone. He was talking to me before I was even born, and hello was all it took for me to recognize his voice. I spoke with Christina Noel from Arcbenders about how connecting with him after so long was a marker of who I've become and who I want to be. And what I told Nancy is that I wanted to tell him that I love him and that I miss him, and that it's okay to be nervous or scared, and that no matter what he chooses to do, I'm here for him. And that's what I got to tell him. And I really, really meant it. I meant it with all my heart. Father Gregory Boyle from Homeboy Industries, from in Southern California, I've mentioned him before, and there's this great passage that Celeste Freeman says about Father G in her book about him. And she says, it was never his job to save them. It was his job to love them. And that's how I felt. I mean, I've gotten to that place in my life where I recognize that, and that was my only goal. I just want to love them. I'm in that space, and I'm at my best living there. And I knew that's how I can serve Tom, and ultimately that's how I can serve myself. So I got to meet Tom a few days later, which was just a few days ago, and it was great to see him and to hear him and to hug him. It was great to feel his love and to pour back into him, and that was a gift that I'll always, always hang on to. And no matter what the future holds for us, he knows that whatever he chooses, he is loved. So I am eternally, eternally grateful to my dad, to our Father, who showed me what unconditional love looks like. And Thankfully, I was open to receiving that gift before he died. And I'm also so thankful that the universe brought Bill Verity into my life by way of the remarkably perky and incredibly intelligent and charming Midori Verity. We were in San Diego and we talked about miracle messages and hopefully reconnecting with Tom. And Billy, he was kind enough to share his own story of family challenges. And he encouraged me in just the right way to reach out to Tom if he didn't call me. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for letting me share that very special time. I hope you love and appreciate your family as much as I do, and that you connect and that you love and that you have each other for as long as you live. So remember, always err on the side of love and kindness. Until the next time, love and gratitude. So thank you so much for um, being with me today. And this is a really pretty special time. And I will tell you that if nothing else for the rest of my life, if this show and everything that I am making progress to allows me to have that, then I am eternally, eternally grateful. Thank you. Have a beautiful, magnificent day.